Hey, how y'all doing? I'm Ted Lasso, your new coach.
The show Ted Lasso was an instant success both commercially and critically.
And the Emmy for Outstanding Comedy Series goes to Ted Lasso.
In fact, its very first season garnered 20 Emmy nominations and 7 wins, including both Outstanding Comedy Series and the coveted Outstanding Lead Actor in a Comedy Series for Jason Sudeikis' portrayal of our eponymous hero.
I want to thank folks at SNL. I want to thank Lauren, who went to go take a dump now. Perfect.
And while Sudeikis rightly deserves this award for his comedic timing and nuanced choices, he was not without immense help from the show's writing department, which, oh yeah, is also Jason Sudeikis. He has the help of Brendan Hunt, who plays Beard, and Brett Goldstein, who plays Roy. Now, on the surface, you could dismiss Ted Lasso as a silly comedy series. After all, the first time we see him in person on camera coincides with the sound of a toilet flush. But if you examine the series a little further, you soon realize that Sudeikis' acting is not the most impressive part of the show, it's his writing. This little team of 6 created an Emmy-nominated pilot episode that not only moves with excellent pacing, filled with solid humor and a dash of dramatic irony, but the writers of this first episode hone in on 8 crucial character traits of Ted Lasso. These well-developed traits make us as an audience instantaneously fall in love with Ted. My name is Marshall, and this is How to Write Strong Characters, the Ted Lasso pilot episode. Let's forget for a second about the NBC branded spot done for the Premier League back in 2013.
And I'd like to talk to the Queen, please.
Yes, this Apple Plus TV show is based on a character from an ad campaign, but no, it's nothing like Cavemen. Sorry, Cavemen. Let's also disregard the audience opinion of Jason Sudeikis, the sport of soccer itself, and even Mumford & Sons and their epic intro sequence. All those things are fine and good, but today we are just looking at the character of Ted Lasso in the pilot episode. And this script is airtight start to finish. So the first time we see Ted Lasso is through this SportsCenter clip. It's about 3 minutes into the first episode, and we've just witnessed Rebecca fire the existing head coach. Now, the very first information we get about Ted, his immediate introduction to the audience, is this.
In American football, he took the Shockers from a garbage program all the way to the promised land in his very first season as head coach.
Now, even though we don't ever explicitly return to this concept, I'd like to propose that Ted Lasso is introduced to us as a bit of a chosen one. He's our Frodo Baggins, our Luke Skywalker. And look, on the surface, it might sound silly. It might sound like we're over-examining a dumb comedy, but let's think about it. He led a garbage D2 football team to their first ever championship in just his first year as head coach. So based on this, we know that Ted can pull off the impossible. When we later see people deride him for being in over his head, having no business at the helm of a sports program, we know that if he's done it once, he can do it again. And sure, it was in another sport, but we have confidence in Ted.
Do us proud. Go America.
And besides being our gifted chosen one, Ted Lasso has another less obvious character trait that helps us connect with him. And that's that Ted has self-awareness about a personal insecurity.
Are we nuts for doing this?
Yeah, this is nuts.
So just prior to this vulnerable moment with Beard, we as an audience are already questioning Ted's career move, and that's even further supported by the young man who approaches him on the plane.
You coaching football, mate, you are a legend for doing something so stupid. I mean, it's mental. They're gonna f***ing murder you.
So Ted is aware of the optics, and he's concerned for the future. And because he recognizes the elephant in the room, we don't sympathize with him, but rather we empathize with him. Now, this insecurity is very important as it relates to our next character trait. That's because Ted Lasso is insecure about being a fish out of water.
Coach, I got a feeling we're not in Kansas anymore, right?
In fact, the very first meaningful words out of Ted's mouth in this entire series are
Back where I'm from.
back where I'm from. This fish out of water element is the character development technique that is most obvious when watching the show. And maybe that's because this character trait is multi-tiered.
You're an American who's never set foot in England, whose athletic success has only come at the amateur level, a second-tier one at that, and has now been charged with the leadership of a Premier League football club despite clearly possessing very little knowledge of the game.
Now, if Ted is a fish out of water, what did his original state look like? Well, before Ted flew across the pond, he was beloved by his players, his assistant coaches, and presumably the school he was working for. He had a successful career and a video that was viral enough to make ESPN. But now he's in a country where he doesn't understand the customs.
How do you take your tea?
Well, usually I take it right back to the counter because someone's made a horrible mistake. But Did not expect fizzy water there, sorry. Well, I mean, he must be from England, yeah?
Wales.
Is that another country?
Yes and no.
How many countries are in this country? Hey, look, this car's got an invisible steering wheel.
He's coaching a sport whose rules he doesn't understand.
To watch practice.
Training. They call practice training.
Can't keep a gaffer from his pitch.
You can say that again. Okay. I am 0 for 2 in that sentence.
He's also away from his family, the very people that make home feel like home. And we'll touch more on that later. Now, something that goes hand in hand with being a fish out of water is being an underdog. And as an audience, we feel for an underdog all the more when he's being bullied about an insecurity. And that is the exact situation here. This is a bit of a spoiler, but our midpoint in the story is when it's revealed that Rebecca is taking a chapter from the producers. She's intentionally doing everything she can to destroy the football club.
See, my ex-husband truly loved only one thing his entire life. This club. And Ted Lasso is going to help me burn it to the ground.
Starting with firing the coach and hiring Ted, the man who has no experience coaching soccer whatsoever.
No, I have never coached the sport that you folks call football.
At any level.
Jesus. And heck, you could fill 2 internets with what I don't know about football.
Ted is an underdog who is operating in good faith. He's uprooting his entire life, leaving behind his family to pursue a career opportunity about which he has his doubts. And this is being met by a woman who is using him as a pawn to get back at her ex-husband.
My apologies, Ted. We should have ordered you a car.
Oh, no, that's okay. Not y'all.
So when a miscommunication results in Ted being completely unprepared to give a big press conference, well, upon second watch, we realize that this was not a miscommunication, but rather a setup by Rebecca.
I thought you knew. They're ready for you now.
They're what?
Not only is Ted being bullied by his boss, but he's being bullied by the very players he's expected to coach.
Howdy, fellas. Don't stop what you're doing. My name's Ted Lasso.
When Ted tries to get the team's attention, star player Jamie Tart leaves in disrespect.
I mean, I can stay if you want.
No, that's okay.
As an audience, we know that Ted has done nothing to deserve being bullied like this. And this is because underdog Ted Lasso is caring. He's thoughtful and kind. He does not consider himself better than anyone. I mean anyone, not even the driver who offers to carry his luggage.
Let me get your bags. Oh, no, Ollie. We packed and we'll carry them.
Twice in the episode, we see Ted being thoughtful about his family back home. But he's not just thoughtful towards the people he knows and loves, he's also thoughtful towards those less fortunate. This can be seen when he covers up the pinup photo of Keely in the boys' locker room. And perhaps most obviously, this can be seen by his taking interest in the equipment manager, Nathan.
Hey, what's your name, by the way?
Me?
Yeah.
Well, no one ever asked my name.
Oh. Yeah, I mean, whenever you're ready.
Oh, it's Nathan.
Nathan! Oh, I love that name.
Ted thinks highly of Nathan, complimenting him and remembering his name.
You continue to impress, Nathan.
You remember my name?
In fact, Ted is so kind and caring that he loves to give compliments, regardless of how they're received. For one, Trent Krim from The Independent
I like your glasses.
puts away his glasses after Ted says that he likes them. And after he's made a laughingstock at the press conference, Ted still tells the journalist that it was nice to meet them.
And sorry for spitting on all your stuff up here.
And then Roy Kent calls Ted a clown after he compliments his life's work.
It doesn't surprise me, though. You've had a heck of a career.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Never thought it would end being coached by Ronald f***ing McDonald.
Ted lets all this criticism roll off his back, which is especially impressive for something he's insecure about.
You gonna let him call you that?
So not only is Ted thoughtful towards those he loves and those less fortunate, but Ted also has a reverence for the game itself. Even though his experience is in American football, when Ted sets foot on the field for the first time and in the locker room for the first time, the musical score lets us feel Ted's quiet adoration towards athletic achievement.
I do love a locker room. Smells like potential. And am I getting notes of Axe body spray?
Though his personality is caring and his heart is tender, Ted Lasso is genuinely funny, and that's one quality that keeps us glued to the screen.
Oh, do you believe in ghosts, Ted?
I do. But more importantly, I think they need to believe in themselves. You know?
Okay.
His charming interactions with Rebecca are probably the best examples of how he blends a caring heart with whimsical, laugh-out-loud comedy.
With the girls and the champagne and everything, he looks like a good time.
That's my ex-husband.
Well, good times aren't always a good time, I've found.
This is where Sudeikis really elevates the role, and having virtually anyone else play the part just wouldn't be the same.
You must be Miss Welton.
Oh, please, call me Rebecca. Miss Welton's my father.
If that's a joke, I love it. If not, I cannot wait to unpack that with you.
And also let's keep in mind that this show was released in August of 2020, a time when laughs were very hard to come by. The world was in a lot of pain, and a must-watch comedy was a cathartic healing process for many, many people. So Ted is caring, Ted is funny, but Ted's absolute best cinematic quality is his resiliency, a quality that every hero must have.
They're gonna fucking murder you.
Well, I've heard that tune before, but here I am still dancing.
Legend.
Throughout the episode, Ted gets rejected over and over, but he keeps in good spirits.
Never thought it would end being coached by Ronald McDonald.
You gonna let him call you that?
I don't think he was referring to me.
He thinks he's mad now. Wait till we win him over.
He'll be furious.
And when Jamie disrespects him in front of the other players, what is his reaction? He rolls up his sleeves and he goes to work. He bounces back after every punch.
Are we nuts for doing this?
Yeah, this is nuts.
Hey, but taking on a challenge is a lot like riding a horse, isn't it? If you're comfortable while you're doing it, probably doing it wrong.
We know that deep down, if anyone is equipped to go through this professionally difficult and awkward experience, it's Ted Lasso. And the final reason we love Ted Lasso in the pilot episode actually has very little to do with Ted himself, and that is the writer's use of intrigue. Not even 3 minutes after meeting Ted for the first time, we see Ted check his phone to see a picture of a woman and child, prompting us with so many questions. Is this his wife and kid? What is Ted doing taking a job halfway across the world if he's still involved with these two? Will they meet him in London? As an audience, we are forced to pay attention to Ted because we want these questions answered. And as more time passes and we don't see his family, we feel more and more for him. We even see Ted ask Rebecca about her own failed marriage in a moment of emotional honesty not usually seen between an employee and his boss on his first day of work.
I heard about all that. How are you holding up?
Is this because Ted can relate to a failed relationship? His question for Rebecca may be more revealing about his own situation. And then, about 2/3 of the way through the episode, in a less subtle way, we were reminded of his family by a drawing his kid did. And then finally, 30 minutes into the episode, the final scene of the pilot in his hotel room, we finally get answers.
Hey, big guy. How you doing? How's school day?
Visually, the scene is presented through a door frame as if we're listening to a conversation we really shouldn't be. And we realize that this resilient, talented, charming guy who is 4,000 miles from home, who has been tricked into coaching a team that has no respect for him in a sport he knows nothing about, talks to his wife and tells her,
Yeah, you and the little guy gotta get on over here. Come check it out. But no, what did I say? But that's what I'm doing, though. I'm giving you that space.
And then Ted tells his wife that he loves her, but she doesn't say it back.
I love you. No, that's okay. You don't have to.
Everything is going poorly for a man who has done no harm. In fact, this fish out of water has done nothing but lead us to a championship, show us the utmost respect, protect our dignity, ask if we're okay, remember our names, and make us laugh over and over. The pilot episode of Ted Lasso is truly a masterclass in how to create a likable character. My hat's off to the team.